is just super obedient to everything that she's asked to do. Even when she's asked to go in front of the king, which could get her killed, but she's obedient.
I guess the biggest thing that stands out to me in the story of Esther is just what a great example she is about not being afraid of staying inside your comfort zone. I feel like so many times I get to where I'm comfortable and I feel at home, and then I just want to stay there. And Esther shows the story of being able to get outside of that comfort zone and how helpful it can be when you lead other people to Christ.
She is just very humble, and when the king offers her half the kingdom, she says, if it pleases the king, then, and she doesn't even, this is her moment to step up and say, like, the king has granted her life and said, like, no, you're good. Like, what do you want? You can have half the kingdom. And that was her moment where she could stand up and say, I want you to save my people. Like, I want you to, she could have stood up and told everyone and could have made a big deal out of it, but instead she said, I want to make you dinner. She chooses to be a servant, and she chooses to be lowly and humble herself and say, I want to fix you dinner. I want to talk to you. Esther has always been put up on this pedestal, I think, all throughout my life. And when we talk about Esther, we talk about how great she is and how wonderful she is. And so sometimes it's hard to relate to that. And she's submissive and throughout the whole story, and that's what we're called to do, and it ticks you off because you're just kind of like, I don't want to be lowly, I don't want to be submissive, I don't want to do that, I want to be equal, I want to be up there with all the guys. But Esther doesn't do that. Esther invites them to dinner, and she says, if it pleases the king, this is what I want. And she's very submissive, and I think that's what God calls us to do. And through being submissive, she saves all those people.
Even though she was so strong in her beliefs and was not afraid to stand up to him, she still had to have a little bit of that fear. And no matter what, we're all going to have that fear, but she was able to overcome that because she had such strong faith. So I relate to her because she's such an example of the kind of faith that we need in order to follow God's will. And sometimes we get numb to how big of a deal it was for her to be able to approach the king and to stand up for her people, because back in her time it wasn't like her and the king were best friends because they were married. She still had to submit to him, and she approached him with such grace, and she did it in the right way, and it was a huge deal. She could have been killed for it. So, for her to be able to overcome that fear showed that she really truly believed and had faith that God would take care of her.
A lot of times I've felt like people wouldn't want to hear what I had to say because I'm a girl, but that just, I think, has made me speak out even further. I've said things and done things to be like, no, hear what I have to say, but that's not how Esther handles it. She gets her voice heard, and she expresses how she feels, and she expresses how she wants to save her people, but she doesn't do it by yelling at the king and being super aggressive and saying, no, you're killing my people, and just being mad. She does it with such grace and with such humility, and it's incredible to see, and I think that's something that I aspire to be like Esther in. I want to do great things for the kingdom, and I want to do great things for God. But instead of being loud and being in the front and saying, look at me, I should be the one in the background saying, no, let me fix you dinner. Let me invite you into my home. Let me fix you and serve you, and then talk to you about my issues. We fight against that. So we fight against that feminist stereotype of like, oh, they're gonna fix you dinner. But maybe that's what we should be doing to reach people instead of going where we're not. Does that make sense? Like, go that way. Okay, they want us to fix dinner. Okay, let's fix dinner. Like, let us fulfill our roles, even if we don't. Instead of being angry at them and fighting against them, we use those to bring Christ, show Christ through us by fixing them dinner, by going into the kitchen and saying, I hate this, but I'm gonna do it anyways because this is what they've asked me to do.